On today's episode, we're replacing the blend door actuator on the North Sea Clipper. Because in Florida, we like the whole shot from winter to summer in 0.25 days. All right, so I have the blend door actuator here. This is the bottom portion where it accesses the door flange, and then this is where the electronic piece plugs in. Now, from what I'm reading, I've never done this before, but it hopefully will take a couple hours or so, maybe 4 if I'm really slow at it. But there's 3 screws that holds it into the heater core. There's 2 in the front, which is apparently easier to access than the back one. They're 8mm screws. Now, in order to get to the heater core, we have to get the glove box out of the way, which from what I understand just pinch the sides and it falls down. And then you should remove the passenger side AC duct and then the passenger side airbag. So there's 2 bolts, 2 screws that holds the trim, dash trim in, and those are used also to hold in, there's a couple other bolts for the airbag and the duct. So once those are out of the way, apparently the first 2 screws that hold in the actuator are easy to get to. Some suggested just break the tab off the back in order to remove the old piece, and even if you want to put the new piece in easier, just trim the tab open where you can slip it in through where that 3rd screw is. I'm hoping I don't have to do that today. Not opposed to modifications, but if I can help it, I'll try not to. But we'll see how well this goes. So yeah, what happened is the couple days right before I had to fly out to Pennsylvania this past week, we had some really cold mornings. I was defrosting the windshield, and usually it switches right over to AC, no problem, once it gets, warm in the car and I want to cool off a little bit. I had heard the actuator tapping a few times at around the temperature mark of 82, 83, depending on where I had set that in the car, because we had some really cold days here in Florida. And I thought to myself, yeah, I'm going to have to replace that very soon. Well, right before I had to fly out, I'm heading to work, and sure enough, I go to switch from full tilt boogie, 90 degree, combat the 33 degree weather, frost on the windshield, down to 75 to just kind of get some coolness in the car, and it didn't change. It was blasting 90 degrees, whether I was on high max AC or even on vents. So I didn't have time to deal with it before I flew out, and then now that I've come back and it's 150 degrees here in Florida again, I want to get this fixed so I can go to work in comfort, because I don't think it's going to cool off for a while. Historically, March is usually the coldest month here in Florida, but I don't think it's been like that for almost a decade now. So we like to go straight into heat and humidity and 90 degree weather as quickly as possible. There is no transition time. So if you're visiting, sorry, that's how we roll. So anyways, so I know that I will need to do a quick inspection on the vacuum lines, because vacuum lines, if they have a crack or they're leaking, can cause a blend door to default to either cold or hot. I'm going to look at them, but I really don't believe that that's the problem, because one, we already know the actuator was tapping, not doing well to begin with at certain temperatures. But this is blowing 90 degrees, whether I'm sitting still or under a load. And typically, if it's a vacuum line, sitting still, I should get AC. I should get some colder air, at least not as hot as 90 degrees at the vent, and then lose that and go to a higher temperature when I'm under a load. But that's not happening. So fairly certain we're going to go straight to the blend door actuator and remove it. We already know we're going to have to replace it anyways, so what the heck, might as well. And the part's only like 50 bucks, so it's not that expensive. All right, so we're going to jump right into it. So I neglected to tell you earlier what year, make, and model this is. So The North Sea Clipper is a 2010 Mercury Grand Marquis. Still has the 4.6, basically a Mustang four-door. It's on the Panther platform. As always, when working with electronics, it's suggested that you unhook the battery, so we're going to hook the negative cable on the battery just so we don't short anything out, and that is an 8mm wrench or socket, but I like to use socket wrenches. Drop that. All right, we're getting ready to get the glove box out of the way. Now, of course, the book, mechanics book, is going to tell you, service manual, that this dash stack all has to be taken apart out of the way so you can get to it easily. But we're not going to do that. We're going to do the easier or more difficult path, and that is, you know, get the glove box out of the way, take some trim off, and then we're going to get some things out of the way like that duck and that airbag out of the way, and hopefully we can get through this without doing too much. Now, of course, in order to, if you're like me, in order to get your glove box out of the way, you're going to have to carefully remove all of your belongings in here so you don't throw it everywhere and, you know, cause any damage. Yeah, just like that. So as you can see, there's two knobs on each side. You basically just pinch those, and that glove box will just swing right out of the way for you. Now, there is some piece still sitting here. I might actually go the extra step and actually remove this box completely, just for the sake of ease, but I'll make that determination here shortly. So what I'm doing is I'm moving the seat back. After sitting here for a second, I realized I might want to have a little extra room up here to work, and I did think about it. I think I'm going to go ahead and remove the glove box completely. I noticed that there's only two screws that's holding that in, so I think I'm just going to remove the whole thing, and it's just going to be wide open at that point. All right, so in order to take the glove box off the hinge here, there's just two hex head screws, and they're 7mm. So I don't have a 7mm ratchet wrench, so I'm going to have to use a socket. I went ahead and took this box out because it's going to just help me access those hex head screws a little better, but I just wanted to kind of show you what's cool is you would think that this is in the way of this screw. It's actually not. It's way back, and Ford even thought enough to notch this out, which gives you a direct access to that screw there. So the screwdriver fit perfectly in there, and that did not block my access at all. Yeah, much easier. Now, just in case you're wondering, you saw me put an extension on these, but they do have actually a form of Loctite. Looks like yellow in color. So they did not want to come out even once they were loose. But that, I mean, they came out with little effort, just needed a little bit of leverage, that's all. But nothing real robust there, but there is some Loctite on there. So the lesson to that is when we go to put it back together, if we'd like to mimic that, I'll got to remember to put some Loctite on those so they don't work loose. Matter of fact, I think I might just go get some while I'm thinking about it so I don't forget. Because if it's recommending Loctite, or they're putting Loctite on there, there's a reason why they don't want them to work loose and have your glove box all of a sudden loose and rattling, and then you got complaints from customers. So I will remember to do that by going to get the Loctite right now. All right, as you see, that panel pops out. If I rotate this forward, you do see some small screws here, but that holds the veneer trim. These are what holds it in the dash. Now there's usually a connector for that patch side airbag light, but that trim piece is broken, but we were able to slip that back in at a previous time, so that wasn't attached. This goes to the menu controls, and that actually depresses and comes loose extremely easily. Now I started to struggle with this connection and then quickly realized that I can just set it aside without taking that apart, and that just seems fine for me because we're not working on that side. So now what we have up here, we have 2 bolts holding the airbag in. You did not see me do this, but I did. Remember to go back up immediately after I got the seat back, moved back, and I disconnected the negative again. Now, do I think there's a big risk of this going off? Typically no, because there has to be a sensor that is obviously triggered from an impact. However, I'm sure if the right voltage hits this, I get smacked in the puss, and then I'm bleeding and I'm bruised up, my eyes swell shut, and I can't see and the project's over. So minimize the risk, unplug the power, we're done. And then we'll get this loose and pull this out, and I'll show you the next step. All right, so I just kind of made a little bit of a discovery. I knew behind the panel that there was 2 more screws, hex head screws, that needs to come out. When I say behind, back here. Now when I felt up underneath there at first, there's one here and there's one here, very similar to like a long post, and I thought maybe that's what I was looking for. Those are 10 millimeters, but then I stopped for a second. Just wanted to show you. We have one here, okay? And then we have one over here. I loosened those real quick to see if that made any kind of a difference, and now this moves. So it's actually these 2 underneath here I need to loosen. So that's where I'm at. The reason why I bring that up is because in some reading that I did, remember I said I had not done this before, it said back there on 2 different videos, it said behind there, but they actually did not really point it out and get underneath the dash to show you what it means by back there. So it's not back there, it's behind the dash pad underneath that holds this airbag in, or at least at this moment that's what it appears. As soon as I loosen these, now that whole metal mount moves that holds that airbag in. So I'm going to take these 2 out, and I believe it will slip down and underneath. We'll see. I took the box completely and the lid out, because I think that helped us here on trying to get this loose. Let's see if I'm right about this now. Now there may still be more holding it, but this seems to move now. Nope, there it is. So that's what it was. So I was originally in my readings led to believe that I was looking for something like this, and that's not what I was looking for. So I am glad I stopped for a minute and took a look. Now I do have a piece or a harness here that we need to disconnect. So trying to reposition myself to do that without damaging anything. So I don't know if you can see this real well, but I'm going to zoom in. All right, there is a holder here into a, just a metal catch here where these plastic push pins go into, right there. And it appears to me now, since I've disconnected that, now I can lay this down in my lap and I'll have a lot better room to work. So yeah, good stuff. All right, so basically there is a little push pin right here. You just push that down and it releases and brings that loose. So that's done. So I don't know if you're wondering, because I am, if I'm regretting moving the seat back, and I am actually. I actually think I should have moved the seat forward. Now, I moved it back to give myself room to work, and I think initially you would want to move the seat back to get the glove box out of the way and the lid off. Here's my recommendation. I'm trying to keep a clear view for videoing, but if you're not videoing and you're just working on this yourself, I actually suggest moving the seat forward once you get the glove box out of the way. The reason why I suggest that is because I'm now struggling as I'm sitting kind of contorted to give you a bit more clearer view. I'm sliding backwards, way away from everything, and I might actually still reconnect the battery real quick and move the seat forward, because what's happening is I need to probably get further into this now that the glove box is out and the airbag is out of the way. And as I'm trying to position to do that, to get into here, because our actuator is over there, I still have to remove this. And when I sit back, like I should, yeah, that's how far back I am, I go to move up and I'm just, whoop. So I actually need to have my nose into the dashboard here. So that's my recommendation, is once you get to this point, probably want to stop, reconnect the battery, move your seat up where you can actually sit comfortably and work on this like you are a workbench almost. But remember, disconnect that battery. You do not want to trigger this thing off, right? That's just my 2 cents worth and my recommendations as I experience this for the first time. Okay, so moving on. So we still have to move this duct out of the way, which just comes off there. This has to come out. Now, back there is apparently a couple more bolts or something, screws, holding this piece in. So I need to investigate that. Before I do, I'm gonna move the seat forward so I can actually work on this and not kill my back. Okay, so I did a quick inspection. I don't see any bolts, so then I just pulled it and it moved really easily. So out it comes. All it is just a couple plastic guide and push clips. That's all it is. So I guess it depends on what year, Crown Vic or Grand Marquis you have, on whether there's screws holding this in. So take note, this is again a 2010, and this one did not have screws holding it in, as far as at least the vent. Now, this could be a different story. Yep, so this has 2 screws. Okay, so what they're talking about is the actual duct itself has 2 screws. So the vent doesn't, it just has the push pins like the trim here, which I should have known that was the case, because my 2007 Mustang, even though it had different vents, had the round adjustables. It's still the same. So we'll need to undo these, and these are probably 8mm too. I'd be surprised if they're not. So much so far, it's been 7 or 8mm. That is 8. Let's try 7. Yep. So those are 7mm. I'm gonna go with a shorter extension. I went with a longer extension on these 10s that was underneath here, holding that bracket in for the airbag. We're transitioning now back to a longer or a shorter extension for these duct screws. So I was struggling with something sticking out here. There's like a noise deadening or some sort of insulation right here up on the wall. I'm not sure if you can see. I'll try to get you in there a little closer. Anyways, right here. Well, there is a big, basically probably a dash hook or something where this bolts in, probably a guide. Anyway, it was on this side, it was in my way. I just tucked it back behind there, and now it's out of my way, and I have full access to that, those screws there. So just again, another little tidbit. Yours is probably where it belongs. Mine wasn't. It was in the way, bugging me, and now I have it out of the way. I can feel like I can work a lot better. Oh yeah. Now I'm not bumping into that and fighting it with the ratchet, the socket. Now this should just come off. Probably gotta pop it out of its. There's some insulation up here from the cowling that you're fighting a little bit of. So you could tell that this pulls this way, but now I'm up against here. So I gotta figure out how to get this loose and out. Okay, so something that I noticed here. This is into the duct here, so it's just a holder for that. I'm assuming it is a vent tube. So I brought a couple of my plastic pullers, and we'll see if we can get in there and pop that loose. There we go. Now that that's out of the way, maybe now she'll move a little freer. Kind of pushed backwards on it. That kind of popped it loose. Now we just got to get it past this open. All right, so lesson learned. Yep, just grab it, pull the hell out of it. It'll pop loose once you kind of bend it back this way and then forward. Don't be afraid to break it, because it won't. All right, blend door actuator is back there, and that's the plug-in on top that controls it and feeds it power. So this is where I get my light, and we'll see how long this takes. All right, so I don't know if you noticed when we were talking about the duct that some of these wires and that defrost tube was kind of in the way. So I said to myself, wouldn't it be nice if some of that stuff was out of your way? And so it's an opportunity for improvement for at least one. So I went ahead and zip tied this. It was all down in here in front of the actuator up here. I'm probably going to leave that. It's not in the way there. It's not really putting any stress on anything. So I'm probably just going to leave that one there. But then I went ahead and used the frame, and I zip tied this vent tube down here out of the way, which gives me a lot clearer access to get back in there. So at least that's a couple things I don't have to now fight, because I got enough already. And yeah, so I'm gonna try to get the camera in there as I work on this, but I don't know if I have enough room, but we'll see. By the way, this is the insulation I was telling you about. It was on the other side of this, in the way. So I just tucked that back there, and it gave me all the room in the world to get into those little screws for the duct on the passenger side there. Now for the next two screws, unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to take you out of the dashboard, because I think I'm going to have to get in and around, and it's just going to block your view, and all you're going to do is see my armpit, and I don't think that that's what you want to do. So the next time, hopefully we'll have a successful extradition of this actuator. We'll see. Okay, the actuator is out, and yes, I did have to go all barbaric on it and break it out, because it was the only way that I could do this. I tried and tried to get this screw. There's a screw way back in there. I don't know if you can see it. Might have actually broke the pedestal right off. In fact, I think I did. And I could not reach these two back here. So I was trying to get these two off, and I thought, well, I could always just pry up and break the tabs on those, and then I'll loosen the screws, we'll trim the tabs, slip them in. Because I conceded that that's how we were going to have to do it, like others did. However, I could not finish getting this back one out. This one come out, couldn't get to those two, could not get this loosened past probably that point. I could not get the wrench on it, hold it in place, have my one hand in there and try to turn it. It just wasn't working. It had finally reached the end of that. And I tried to get a socket in there, lost my 8mm in the back, so that's real nice. I'm gonna have to substitute that with, I think, 5/16, I think, because I believe that's what will fit. Matter of fact, I'll test that on one of these. Anywho, I finally decided to get in there with my brake tool, and I was able to break this one loose, that tab, and I could not get these to break loose. So I ended up getting a chisel in here, a right angle chisel, got it underneath there and broke it out. Now, what I discovered is there was not a screw over here on this one. So I do believe that someone's been here before me and replaced this already, even though this only had 47,000 miles on it. That screw wasn't there, or if it is, it flew somewhere. That's very possible. Yeah, that's very possible. Trying to see if I can see back in there. I mean, I don't see it rolling around anywhere. If you do, fine, point it out. Anywho, that was missing. I lost the other screw trying to take it out by hand, so now that's gone with my 8mm. I'll try to run the magnet in here, but I don't have any hopes of finding it. So I am hoping that I can lock it down with these two, and because that's basically where the pressure is going to be anyways, and hope that that works, because I don't really have another choice unless I can find that other screw and maybe get that started again and trim that tab. So we're basically talking about trimming this tab, and if I find the screw, that tab. This one I won't, because I don't need to. This one's missing a screw, so to hell with it. That's where we're at. Oh, and by the way, for whoever that was in the back that screamed the 5/16 won't work, here's my 8. There's my 5/16, and it is tight enough. It'll work. I'll be able to substitute that. So I ended up having to put the tin up. I almost did that earlier just for cooling reasons, but I didn't realize it was going to pour on us. And I mean, it come up. I looked out. It looked like this. Next thing I know, I'm getting rained on. I mean, poured. Had the car to cover the car up. Now I see more rain coming. And anyways, it caught me by surprise. Had to stop operations here while it slowed down enough for me to get the tin up. So that cost me about a half an hour. But anyways, glad we were able to get back on it, leaving it up because I got a feeling I might get caught one more time. right, let's just see how this might slip in there. I had this back in here just so I don't lose it, because it was all along with a bunch of 7mm. So I have the blend door. Oh, I am going to hook this up, by the way, and test it before I put it in, just to be sure we have everything like we want. Probably should put a light in here so we can see what we're doing. Well, it's not working right. I'm cycling through the different temperatures. We can see that as I'm going up, that should slowly move and give me more heat. It does kick down the compressor and then switches over, kicks back up because I got it on max, but it's not moving. So I don't know if I got a bad part. I just went to the frosters or before. What's interesting is I completely got heat no matter what I did. Now I'm at 90 degrees and I'm getting heat out of some vents, like especially if I have it on the front. Got on the floor now, and that's cold air. Defrosters seems to be cold air, even at 90 degrees. Now granted, I don't know, she's warming up now. If I put it to front, it goes a little hot air and then goes to lukewarm, but it's hot out of here. So something's still not right. Now I'll switch it to that's in the way, isn't it? And I've got cool air there, hot air there. So yeah, still not working right. Something's not right. But it's different than before, because before I couldn't get any air other than 90 degrees. Maybe unhooking the battery resets something, but I mean I could at least live with that, but it's not cold. It's not max cold. Alright, so now this, apparently there's two of these units. One for manual control, and then this one has an automatic control. I wonder if I got the wrong unit, and it's not communicating, because I mean it's not moving at all. It hasn't moved the door, the actuator hasn't moved at all, so interesting. Alright, so before I took off, my friend Mike down the road was out getting a new roof put on his house, and he's a mechanic, and I just happened to, he had come over earlier and just checked to see what was going on. And I told him it wasn't working. And I said, I think I got the wrong part, which I still believe I do have the wrong part, by the way. But anyways, he did a scan and it had a blend door fault. So plugged in the new, or the old actuator, and it works. I guess I should have tested that first thing. So now it's working and it's going back and forth. I also tested the lever on the heater core and it's functioning. It's not stuck or anything. So we're scratching our heads. I'm gonna put the old one back in real quick and just make sure that it does function, does move the door, and everything works fine. The only thing that I could think of is, remember I said if you don't remember, this wire was down in my way. Now the actuator's back there. However, I zip tied this up for convenience. But as I pulled away from Mike's garage, got to thinking that I thought to myself when I first saw that wire hanging down in there, it seemed like it was bunched up unusually close to the actuator, which it really was. And I didn't think anything about it. I just thought, wow, that's kind of sucks. It's in the way. And it was kinked, but again, it didn't look like anything out of the ordinary, like it was caught on anything. But I'm beginning to wonder if somehow, and now I haven't been in the dash, but I did have a couple things fall out of the glove box, or somebody before me, because there was stuff inside the dash. And that box has a little roof and side, so it's not like that gets in there very easily. Wonder if something got caught between the glove box and this wiring harness. And somehow, and it's long enough, got caught where that door was and wouldn't let it, the actuator door though, or the lever for that blend door, and wouldn't let it move. Seems far-fetched, but I don't know what else to think, because nothing else in the instrument cluster seems to be wrong. So we don't think it's the controls for the air, but I guess we'll soon find out. So anywho, all that to say, luckily everything's 4 parts, so it's easy to do. I'm gonna pull the new actuator. I am going to make sure that the actuator, the original actuator is going to be set at cold, because that's where the blend door wants to default to when it's not hooked up. So it swings to cold. Maybe I should better explain this when things are out, but instead of the door lever being this way, it wants to default this way. This would be hot because that's where it was, and I was getting 90 degrees no matter what I did. When the actuator swings this way, that's cold when it's not on there. So that would put the blend door this way, which is where it wants to fall when it's not attached to anything. That would be AC, presumably. So I'm gonna set it to that, and then I'm gonna install it that way. We'll see what happens. Wish me luck. Okay, moment of truth here. Let's see if it works now that the old one's plugged back in and tighten down. Okie dokie, moment of truth. We got the car running. Air set at 85, where I decided to set the door, because that was just easier to put in. I thought it was trying to fall to the cold side. Anyways, it wasn't. So now we're going to start coming down to see what she does. And I have lost my flashlight, my rechargeable, so it's no longer on a charge. It'll only run in short spurts, and it's moved. It's actuating. I'm now down at 60. Do I have cold air? Oh yeah. I got cold air. I got cold air out of those vents, and now I have cold air out of that vent. So it's working. I have no idea. I still think it's a failing unit. So the question is do I put this dash back together and chance it? I don't think it's going to get cold anymore like it was this week. Last few weeks it's been damn cold. So I was running 90 degrees defrosters because, yeah, we even had ice and frost on the ground, ice on the car. So anyways, we're into March. We still got a couple months to go before it actually turns hot, but it's already hot. So at this point, I won't be running defrosters at 90 degrees anymore. Even if I need defrosters, I only run them about 80, 83. So that barely puts the actuator all the way over. So do I put this back together and chance it? Because I'll probably run an AC for the next 9 months. Or do I go ahead and try to get another one that's an automatic and have it on hand and chance it? That's the question. And we all know what I'm going to do. I have working AC now, so that means I'm putting the dash back together. I know where there's 2 actuators for a automatic temperature control setting. I will go get one, and I will have it on standby, and this time around I'll be able to do this way faster because I know how this all goes now. And modifying the actuators is the answer. It's the only way to go, because unless you have some specialized tools, you're not going to get them out or back in any other way without dismantling the whole dash. So I have now confirmed probably what 1,800 other people have already said before me, but I hope that I am showing you in detail enough that, you know, I'm trying to go for every step here and show you through each one how I'm doing this so we can learn together and have a good reference point. All right, it's time to get this all back together because I promised my wife dinner tonight in the North Sea Clipper, and she doesn't like to be disappointed, so here we go. Well, I sure hope you guys remember how all this went back together, because I've had a bunch of troubleshooting and distractions now, but I can't. No, I'm joking. Or am I? What I'm trying to do is get this over this, and when the vents were, you know, it's as far over as it goes. There's no other room here. It would be nice if there was, but there's not. So anyways, what I'm trying to do is just get that fit back over, not in. And of course, the first thing it did when I finally got it to budge was it went inside the tube, and it's not supposed to do that. So, trying to manipulate this plastic and not break it. Okay, so I struggled a little bit, but I'll tell you what I did. I just shoved this where the back side is now outside of this, because that's ultimately the goal. So now that I have the back side out, I hope to now pull this, you know, to the outside. Let's see if I can work that, especially from up top. And there we go. Now, mind you, I did struggle some getting it behind there because I'm trying not to bust this stuff up, but it's pretty durable. Anyways, now next thing, now that I've got that slip back over the vent, is to get these screws in. And then I did remember to unhook the battery. That's already done. See? No clock. So, yeah, so we'll get this buttoned up, the vent in, and then I should be able to then hook up the airbag. Just trying to go through this, and then it's the center outer trim, and it's just a little cleanup on the carpet here, and I should be good. We'll retest. Cool. Oh, and the cool thing is I'm also running out of darkness or light because it's getting dark and it's rainy now. Got a tent up still, so I am up against the clock on that. Yay me. It's working.
Okay.
Yeah, so hopefully it stays that way. Now I'm just trying to get the dash back together.
Okay.
I think I may still go get, because it did click again this time. Now that it's actually moving, it started clicking again. So I think I'll get another one just to have on standby. At least now I know how to do it.
So maybe the gears are stripping there.
Yeah, could be.
So it's when it's not connected, it's going freely.
Yeah, and then now it's got load on it, right?
Try to open another one at home on the table, because maybe from two you can make one.
True.
Because like you don't need a circuit, but maybe gears are the same, yes?
Right.
Okay.
Could be. Could be very well. Very well. Thank you. That was Mikey stopped by to see how we were doing. Told him it was working now. He said maybe I can make two from one. Take the actuator controller out of the new one and put in the old one. That's a good suggestion. I might do that. Save me from buying another one. I don't know if I can return this one now that I've cut the tab. They might catch that. Although the next person's going to do the same thing anyway, so I don't think it really matters, but whatever. Heard something. It did. That fell out. That's weird. Bottom screw fell out. Trying to now figure out where that landed. I heard it land. But I don't see it. And I darn sure heard it hit some metal. Huh. Oh, wait. Nope, there it is, right there. Almost down into a corner, plastic corner. Get my magnet. Nope, that didn't get it. I think I got it. Thought I heard it. Yep. All right. Well, I guess I do have an opportunity to make this right. All right, that's better. So now we'll get the airbag hooked back up. Let me think about this for a minute. There's something else that I'm missing. I forgot. Part of it is the wiring harness. I just thought about it with the clips. Sorry, out of the picture range. This little mount just reminded me that I had clipped this air cabin vent up here earlier. Try to do this without cutting the vent. I should not have tightened it as. Actually, I had to because I didn't want to use some of my long zip ties. I'm running out of those. Anyways, that has a clip on it, and that's supposed to go back up into this vent if I remember correctly. And I'm trying to remember now. There it is, right there. One, it needs to be there, and two, if I don't, I'll have an air leak. There we go. All right, so, oh, you can see that. It's right up there. So that reminded me because when I unhooked this, I remember this was hooked here. All right, got my trim piece back here. I guess I should get my water out of the way and my glasses. All right, so I did end up taking this apart when I thought I was going to drive down to the auto parts store, which I probably still will tomorrow. I think I will be getting another one of these actuators. I'm quite sure I'm going to be back into this dashboard again soon. Very soon. All right, so here's the trick now. The airbag light and indicator over here, well, that is broken. There's supposed to be a trim piece to hold that in, and it's gone, but that's okay, because when we put this back together, it should just fit right in. Now comes the fun part of trying to line this stuff back up. Too high. Not high. Oh, here we go. This. Somehow that like that. All right. Okay, now that it's pouring down rain, I gotta try to get the battery hooked back up. Well, she's working. It had me scared for a minute because somehow when I reconnected the battery, apparently it falls to 75 degrees. You know, so I didn't think anything of that. I turned it to max air at 60, and all of a sudden the actuator started clicking again. Just like it had been doing up until it quit working. And it started to blow warm air, and I'm like, oh no. But then I heard it stop clicking, and cold air started blowing. So she is blowing cold air, but it's definitely faulty. I still have the glove compartment to put in, but I've got a tent that's about to collapse because it's collecting water. Somehow that started collecting water, so something isn't set up right, and I had to reset it back up pretty quickly because I was trying to get back on this before it started raining, and I must have not got one of the ribs set right, so it's collecting water and it's going to collapse here soon. But I had to get the car at least in a position where I could fire it up and make it run. I think my wife just got home, so anyways, I'm going to move this and then try to reinstall the glove compartment real quick. I think it's still raining, but I can at least do that with the car running. All right. I'll be back at it again at some point in time, but hopefully not soon. Well, as you can see, I look a little different. Got my Star Wars shirt on, and that's because I cleaned up finally. Anyways, it just poured after that last clip. I had to get the battery hooked up, get the car up and running, and move from in the center of the driveway over to where it's parked now, because wifey poo come home. So she was parked across the street. She was patient with me, but I needed to get the car out of the way, get the tent broke down in the pouring rain so she could get parked in the driveway and scoot inside and not get as wet. But we did finally get the glove compartment back on the hinge and hooked up, box in, and it's together. So we ended up not going to dinner because of the rain. It was only forecast to be spotty rain for a couple hours, and it just monsooned. And at that point, my wife said, I just don't feel like fighting it. So I'm a little upset because of a rough day. I was kind of hoping to get out and have a celebratory beer, however it turned out, and have a dinner, and it just didn't turn out that way. But I got cold air, which I didn't have for a while, so I'm pretty happy about that. Hopefully I can now go to and from work, church, whatever, over the next few days and not fight when it rains, because it's been raining profusely every day now since it turned warm, just like summertime. And running the car with no air and the windows up, that's no bueno. So anyways, hopefully we can be comfortable. I'll get another actuator for an automatic setting car, and I'll tear back into it and replace it when I get a minute. So I missed a car show, but we at least got cold air back. Missed dinner, but at least we got cold air back. So I guess I could be happy about that. Anyways, I am happy that you come along with me and experience, again, another frustration. Trying to fix something and turned out it didn't quite work out the way we wanted to. Kind of like the old 67 and the fuel pump, right? We put the fuel pump in, we know that that fixed the issue, but we had a myriad of other byproducts of that that made me tear into stuff that just circled back around, and you know, it ran. Now we got cold air. So anyways, I'm gonna go rest, and I hope you guys have a blessed evening. Comment, let me know the frustrations that you have sometimes in your own garage with your vehicles. What has been maybe your repeated nemesis in the garage? Let me know what that's like. I think we all have it, right? A lot of times we work on projects, it goes very well. A lot of times we work on projects, it doesn't go the way we want it to. So anyways, y'all have a blessed evening, and we'll see you on the streets.